Your YouTube feed is crap. Stop wasting your time watching bot-boosted shills and self-appointed gurus cloying for your attention. Instead, join the Goslings interview, live stream, and podcast. The Goslings, a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers. A super chat of radical truth-seeking wizards who eat trolls for second breakfast. Topics that'll make your mama's hair stand on end. Ideas that'll make your pastor's knees knock. Guests that will illuminate the hidden chambers of your mind. And interviews that strike down the darkness. Welcome to the Goslings.
Jazz.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
Hello, Jazz. Hey, everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Nick.
And we are the Goslings. And we are joined today by one of our friends and fellow authors, John Bennardo, author of Just a Typo. How you doing, John?
Great. Thanks for having me back. This is my second time, so I really appreciate the re-invite.
Yeah, absolutely,
Glad
man.
to have you back, man.
Yeah.
We have all kinds of things to talk about. It's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
Crazy year. And we're looking forward to the
When was
conversation.
I on? Yeah, when was I don't remember when exactly I was on. Remember 5 months, 6 months, a year?
It would have been
1990s?
About 9 months ago. I think it was November,
Yeah.
October, November of last year.
possibly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
John, you were one of our first guests, if not our first.
Yeah, it was right after your book came out.
Yeah.
So that's got to be,
Yep.
So that's March, February. Well, yeah, it's a year, almost a year.
I mean, but it feels even longer than that. It feels like there's been like
Every year,
18
just,
trips
you know?
around the sun in the past year. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
Man. Well, we are super excited to have you with us. And of course, we are, we're the Goslings, as you guys may or may not know. We are the Goslings, and we always begin our live streams with a toast. Jonathan?
With a toast.
You wanna do it?
Yes.
Let me get our ticker going.
Take
here.
up your mugs
Mhm.
and read on the ticker on the bottom if you need some inspiration. And I will say the first half, and everybody else say the second half.
Let's do it.
Take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike
And
down the
strike
darkness.
down the darkness.
Cheers.
Cheers, John. Oh, there's like next to nothing in mine. Did you drain mine while I wasn't
I did
looking?
not. I did not. These are big at the bottom. You gotta
Yeah,
really
they
fill them
are.
up.
Wow. We got these Kothon mugs. These are handmade Spartan Kothon mugs by a guy named Joel Cherico, who runs Cherico Pottery. He did like a promo thing on Instagram with Stephen Pressfield, another one of our favorite writers. And these things they're not cheap, but they're
No.
they're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
And we got a couple of these.
Handcrafted, artisan, everyone made by
Yeah.
hand, everyone unique.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's
And
funny
they're
when
for
you
sale,
start-
right? They're for
They
sale.
are. They
Oh,
are.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
The
A little
Cherico
plug for
Pottery.
you guys. They'll help you out. Hey,
Thanks, John.
audience, go get the mug.
There you go.
I think he had like 3 of these left, and they're like, I think they're like $200 a pop, but I don't know if he's gonna make any more. Like they're pretty killer. I hope he does.
Yeah,
but
me too. He's awesome.
Anyways, well, John, we got tons of questions for you, man. We got a limited amount of time, so we'll just jump right
Let's
into
do it. Let's do it.
I just want to kind of hit a quick reset switch. I know we probably talked about this in the past, but just to prep our audience for your novel, Just a Typo, what was the major inspiration for writing the book?
It's a good question. I probably answered it 9 months ago, and I don't remember what I said last time. But the inspiration for the book was just I had this idea. Actually, I do remember because I had done a documentary about $2 bills. Maybe we talked about that. Maybe we didn't. That's a whole other topic. But I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer and a filmmaker. I write, and creative artist, I guess, as you could call it. And I had done a documentary, and I was looking for another documentary idea. And I had an idea for a fake documentary, just like a spoof, a mockumentary, if you will. And it was just going to be about this celebrity who tweeted something out that was a mistake, just like what the book is. And as I was working on it, I was like, it was just so much to craft a 90-minute, 100-minute film. And I just, I just want to get back to my roots as a prose writer. And I'm just going to write this as a novel and let it take me where it took me. And so the idea was that it started as a fake documentary where we'd have people talking about this incident and what happened to him because of it. And then I turned into say, this would be a much better novel. And that's what I did. And the idea, I think, the typo that he has again, without getting too much into the book, Weird Al Yankovic, the main character loves Weird Al Yankovic. That's kind of, I love taking existing formats and changing them into something else. So I always like how Weird Al Yankovic takes existing beats and rhythms and changes the words and makes it work. Long story short, when I hear songs, I usually just in my head change the lyrics. And in one of them, I changed the word that is the word that's in the one with the L and then the one without the L. And I just did it with a song that had the word in it. And I said, well, that'd be funny. And so that's how I got the idea for the tweet. And I'm not going to give that away. But it was a combination of things. I said, so wouldn't it be funny if someone meant to say this word and the L came out and said that word? And meanwhile, I'm trying to come up with a fake documentary. And I was like, it all just kind of melded together to come up with this hysterical idea that I had.
It's genius. And I love the explanation in the beginning about how when using the iPhone, if you hit any other letter and create a non-word, it self-corrects and you're fine. But where the position of the L is, if you miss that L, baby, oof, you find yourself in handcuffs, unable to eat your burnt Pop-Tarts,
Exactly, right.
Before you know, because the cops
fortuitous,
are hauling you away.
Yeah, and I didn't know any of that in advance. It was just fortuitous that the L was there. So when I'm writing that, I'm just kind of making that up as I go along. I went, you know what? I'm doing it with my fingers, testing it out, going, hey, but if you miss the L, you're stuck with the word. It just worked out really well. So I got lucky. Sometimes you get lucky as a writer. Oh, that's genius. I'm like, no, it's not genius. It just worked out. So.
No one has to know.
I love it. I love the character. I love the main character, Mo. He's you go through like his whole backstory growing up. He comes from this just awful human beings raising him and in his family, has an awful upbringing, and he always wanted to be a game show host. That's like his big dream.
And it's good psychology for the character too. The backstory makes a lot of sense.
It really does.
Yeah.
And he goes he puts his butt where his heart wants to be.
Yeah.
And he goes to LA.
Yeah.
Goes to Hollywood.
Leaves the girl for it.
And he actually becomes a game show host. And it's at this peak of his accomplishment. He's like right there. I mean, he's at the top of his game as a game show host. That's when he makes this horrible
faux pas.
Yeah. To say the least.
Flag pas, if you will.
And the entire world turns on him on a dime.
Well, the key was that as we're talking about how we got to prominence, all of this, everything that I talk about is how we got there. There's something that happens which comes back to haunt him later on, as you guys know. So the family he lives with when he first moves to California, the girlfriend that he dated, when he's working for a senior citizens facility, calling bingo balls. I mean, everywhere is something where he upsets, not really offends somebody. He doesn't offend anybody, not on purpose, but once that typo comes out later, and now he's looked at in the public as a bad guy, it reshapes all of his past things that he's ever done, and everybody looks at those as negative things. The Halloween pictures, things. And this all comes from my personal experience watching celebrities go down and watching people form an opinion and then using that opinion to make facts out of things that happened in the past that aren't facts. And that's exactly what happens to this guy. I mean, he lives a normal life. He's a good guy. He has a couple of faux pas, which are minor, but then once he's considered a bad guy because of this tweet, everybody goes back and says, "Oh, I'm offended by that now." 20 years later, that's the culture that I believe that we live in. Is that as soon as you form an opinion on somebody, then everything they do is framed in that light, and you've got no chance. If you're looked at as a bad guy, you can't escape it. Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, for real. When I read this book last year, I was, it's a satire and it's great and it's hilarious. And
every page is funny.
Yeah, I laughed a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally see how something like this could happen.
Yeah,
I could totally see. This is so great.
Yeah,
it's almost in a way, it's like an exaggeration of cancel culture. And then this past year has passed, and my opinion has actually changed. Quite a bit on.
It's not much of an
evolved
exaggeration.
A little bit. Yeah. So
it's pretty accurate actually to cancel culture.
One of my questions to you, John, was how has your opinion of cancel culture evolved, or has it, since you first published this book? I mean, a lot's happened in the past half a year.
I think if anything, what's happened just justifies that the book is on point. I mean, that's really the simplest way I can put it. My opinion hasn't changed. My opinion, if I were to write the book today from scratch, I probably would have written the same thing, because this is the world we live in, as I just described. You make a mistake, you are branded as a bad person, or you're branded as a homophobe, or whatever the case may be. When you make an excuse and you apologize, say, look, I just left the L out of that word and now it becomes homophobic. No one believes it. No one wants to accept it as a reason.
Yep.
Everybody has their own opinion, and their opinion is correct. Opinions now are facts in most people's mind. We learned that from alternative facts.
Yep.
When you believe something is true, it's true, whether or not you're right. And so that is, I don't think my opinions change. I think this book is right on point. And I said before, and on this, maybe on your show before and on other ones, it's entirely crazy what happens, but it's also totally plausible that this could happen. I mean, as absurd as it is, it's definitely something that could happen. And
I call it a satire-turned-ptophecy. In a way.
It is prophetic.
Because every time you look at the news, it's like somebody's getting berated for having an offensive opinion. Somebody's just the mob's coming after them and trying to shut them down because someone got their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're a humor writer. You're a documentary filmmaker. It's comedy.
Yeah.
People are supposed to get their feeling. Everyone has a sacred cow.
Yeah.
Everyone's. I certainly have my sacred cows, but that doesn't mean when I get my feelings hurt, I don't want anyone else to be able to listen to the comedian and have a good laugh. I mean, that's ridiculous. It doesn't seem like it's like the most selfish thing a person could do to try to shut someone down.
Well, there's an example in the book when he works at the sports bar and hosts a trivia contest, and part of the gig is just being witty and fun and making fun of the people who are playing along. And he ends up offending like everybody, but it's all in good fun. And people come there because, like a roast, they come there because they want to be the next victim. But then later on, when something happens and turns it, they become offended. So comedy, I mean, and I think I even wrote a line in the book that, comedy shows got shut down. I mean, it got to a point in this dystopian world at the end of the book where you can't tell a joke. And comedy shows are off the air. Nobody writes them. Comedians are out of work because, God forbid, you make a joke, you're offending somebody. And that's the extreme I think we're headed. So it's a perfect example that comedy is not pretty anymore.
It seems like there's just one small group of people, though, that are just sitting there
on Twitter
waiting. Like, what would you say? What would you say to people who are just sitting there deliberately waiting to be offended?
Get over yourself. I don't know. It's just like
get over it.
Get a life. I mean, it's. I think you're right though. People are finding reasons to get offended, and that offends me. Actually, go do something better with your life than worry about what Roseanne said yesterday in her tweet or whoever is the latest. If someone dressed up as a blackface 35 years ago, like that one senator, I forget who it was. I mean, the guy was in college. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing, but it was a different world, and he wasn't thinking, and he was in college.
It's college.
I dressed as
actually the governor of Virginia that did that. Oh, and Justin Trudeau did that. Turns out,
right. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
And I tell you the Halloween costumes in the book, to give a spoiler away to the audience, but there's a part where the guy is in college and dresses up as a number of costumes with his friends when he's young, and those come back to haunt him later. But those costumes are almost all exact costumes that I wore.
No kidding. That's right. Great.
Yeah. I'll give one. The Amish Superman is one of them. And I actually drive photos. I can probably pull one up on my phone here.
Please do.
Hold it up. But please do.
I'm gonna have to dig it up. Awesome. Okay, so the Amish Superman. I always like to combine two things that didn't go together. So what would the Amish Superman be? Black hat, beard, mustache, all black, with an S on his chest and a cape. And I will, if you don't mind, I will scroll forward here.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. While we're
Makes
going,
me wonder what his superpower would be. What would an Amish Superman superpower be?
The ability to build a barn in 5 seconds.
Ability to turn a light on. I don't know. Maybe or a radio.
He can operate an iPhone.
That probably, if there's anybody Amish listening, I just offended somebody who's Amish listening. Although they can't listen because they can't. Yeah,
right. They can't. Yeah, who's going to play it for
stronger than a speedy bull, more powerful than a 3-horse buggy.
Yeah, what's the
so I'm digging for this. I'm going to keep digging while we're talking, but I'm involved in the conversation. I'm just going to see because it's an old photo that I snapped a picture of to send somebody, so I have to. I have no idea timetable wise where it is, so I'm just scrolling.
No, keep digging. You're good.
But anyway, the
this
point is
totally
that
worth it.
people who are looking to get offended, I mean, that just drives me nuts. Like, go find something better to do. It takes a lot to offend me personally, and I don't even know I can't name anybody who's offended me. Actually, the only people who can offend me are family members. Like if my brother were to say something about my son or something, just off the top of my head, I might be offended by that. But I'm not going to get offended by I mean, I'm Italian. I'm not going to get offended by what somebody says about Italians on Twitter. I'll probably find it funny.
Yeah.
So
I've been offended many times. I've been offended many times watching stand-up comedy.
Mhm.
And there are some comics that I'm just like, all right, fine. I'm not going to. I'm just
Or
not
it's
gonna
just
watch.
too much.
You know what?
Like,
Bill
oh,
Maher's
okay.
offended me many a time, but
Yeah.
like lately, I've been watching a lot of his stuff because
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff he says doesn't offend. It's like why can't you just take what you like, forget the rest?
Right.
Got to get your feelings hurt.
Or just not take it personally. Yeah. I mean,
Nothing
like,
when
get over it.
when there's a joke that really offends me, and I still laugh.
Mhm.
There's something really cathartic about that.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of make that little step to not take yourself
It's
so
almost
seriously.
It's
All
almost
right,
a
okay, you got
numinous
me. That's good.
experience. Yeah, where you can just be like, "Oof, man, that one hit close to home," but it was still funny.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
find
used
that
to
stuff
laughing
very
at
funny. Mel Brooks stuff, I find his stuff.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can never get away with that now. Mel Brooks stuff is
You
funny.
can never
I mean,
make
go ahead
Blazing
and make
Saddles
fun
now.
of. Oh my God, no! But go ahead and make fun of. I don't even want to name the ethnicities, but go ahead and do it because I know it's a joke. We all know
Right.
stereotypes. It's not really offensive. I found the picture, by the way.
Nice.
Oh,
Now,
let's
of
see it.
course, this is a great picture because there's two really good-looking women with me. But
Awesome.
let's
I'm
see
going
if
to
you
turn
can,
our camera off to maximize.
okay.
All right.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well
Bravo,
done.
man.
Yeah,
Well, you can
well
see.
done.
I mean, you can.
Cheers to you.
With the
You
beard.
could
Yeah.
see the. I mean, again, it's two women and me, but you can see the S on my chest. You can see the hat and the beard. That was the idea. I don't have a picture of. That's the only one I can remember offhand.
I
But
love
I don't
it.
know where those two girls are now, but they're not anywhere near me. So
Oh, it's a shit. Well, can't have everything.
So if Superman's Clark Kent, what is Amish Superman's like?
that's a
Jedediah,
great.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Jedediah,
But
malarkey.
Something like that.
but the for just to put a wrap on that story, the other costumes in the book I wore too. One of them was called White Trash, where you have a garbage bag on and you just stick garbage to yourself.
Yeah, dude,
White
I got
trash,
called
I
out.
guess.
I got called out for white trash being racist not too long ago. I was
Really?
told I couldn't say white trash anymore because it's racist. Like
Well,
John,
that-
just a typo is so prophetic. Like I don't even know if any of us understand how prophetic it is.
Like, what's
Yeah.
getting so crazy? You can't even make fun of yourself anymore.
Right?
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
No nerd
yeah.
jokes.
Well, yeah.
So
Self-deprecating humor doesn't work.
No, self-deprecation does not. Conan O'Brien, made a career out of it. But nowadays, if you were a 9 foot tall, freckled, ginger, which you can't even say ginger anymore.
Nothing's funny
know.
anymore.
Yeah, nothing's funny anymore. Well, that was going to be one of my questions, John, and just to get your thoughts on it. I've been a fan of stand-up comedy for almost all of my life. Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neill, Robin Williams, just everybody. But one thing I've noticed is like it is part. They say philosophy's dead, but philosophy can exist in the realm of stand-up comedy. And I think even more so, it's because of the irreverent nature of stand-up comedy. You have to be able to eat those sacred cows. Do you think that irreverence is an essential part of comedy? And not just stand-up or writing, but just in comedy in general?
I think it's a major part. I mean, I think you could probably get away without it. I mean, observational humor, it doesn't necessarily need irreverence. You just point out things that we all experience, that we relate to, that never has really been brought to our attention on that level, and you laugh. So it doesn't have to be irreverent, but I know the more irreverent, probably the funnier it can be. I mean, you're only going to make me laugh so much by telling me a common experience about clipping my toenails. That's only going to get you so far. But if you can get more reverence in there and take it to another level, I personally, find it funnier. Sebastian Maniscalco is observational, but he also emphasizes it with gestures. He's doing the
gesticulations and
the Chipotle guy bouncing from, if you've seen that thing where the Chipotle, what he's saying isn't necessarily as funny as him making fun of the people who go from, the chicken to the salad to the tomatoes, and he's jumping up and down, and so I don't even think over the years there's been so many comedians that have had different styles. Sam Kinison yelling, what,
Oh, I
what?
love Sam Kinison.
Right?
Oh,
That
yeah.
it's
So
almost
good.
hard. The answer to the question has to be, to each his own. Irreverence is great, but you don't need it. I mean, some people can make you laugh without it, and some people absolutely depend on it.
I like Weird Al. I mean, Nick and I have been fans of Weird Al.
Oh, yeah.
Forever.
Since I was little.
Yeah. I still watch UHF probably
too.
at least every 2 years.
I watched UHF with my kids, and they've seen it like 3 times. It was one of the first non-animated movies that I watched with them.
Yeah.
And it's like their favorite.
Have you been a
It's their
fan
favorite movie.
of Weird Al? Because he's mentioned
because in
in
fact,
just a Typo.
oh yeah, but that's where it comes from. It's just it's me extolling my love for him through the character. In fact, all songs that the character wrote, I wrote. I actually dug up the lyrics recently. They're in a box in the closet behind me. The one that's We Didn't Write the Language. You remember that one for We Didn't Start the Fire, Billy Joel? There was a line where he mentioned, he goes, I can't mention the lyrics here because I'm in too much trouble already. But I found the lyrics to those, and my God, I mean, that would get anybody in trouble. But they're all songs I wrote. Mike and the Mechanics, All I Need is a Testicle instead of All I Need is a Miracle. Remember that one? The refrain, I put the refrain in the book. I mean, I had him sing it real briefly. And the funny thing is I'm doing a guy I hired is doing the audiobook right now. And we were talking about it in advance. And he's like, do I need to sing these songs? I'm like, yes, you need to sing these songs.
Yes, you do.
So I'm proofing the book as he goes along. He's only got a few chapters left, but I haven't gotten to the part where he sings that song yet, but I can't wait to hear him say, all I need are some testicles. All I need are 2. I mean,
because he's just suffering when he's doing it. You're like, oh, this feels good.
It's going to be hysterical for me to listen to that. As long as he goes full tilt with it, which he better. Or I'm going to have him
awesome. Yeah, he better. Right. Yeah.
I noticed on your, well, I was just going to say, I noticed on your YouTube channel, actually, you've done a couple parodies where you're like actually perform like Weird Al would do.
Yeah.
You put
there's a story behind those. Yeah, I used to teach at Lynn University in Boca Raton, Florida. And Lynn University was actually the host to the presidential debate in 2012, which is hard to believe that's 10 years ago when Romney and Obama debated. So we had a year of planning. And as part of the curriculum, the faculty, we all had to do debate-related stuff. And I forget how it came about, but I said, well, I'll do some song parodies. Someone said, okay. I said, I'll do some song parodies. So I did the one, which was the Kermit the Frog. What's this? Over the Rainbow? No, the Rainbow Connection.
Rainbow Connection,
and, what did I call that song? Answer the Question. It's called Answer the Question because my opinion was always that, you ask somebody a question in a debate and they just go off on their own talking points. So I wrote a song about answering the question, how they don't do that. And they go off on their own tangents. And then we did a video for it. I bought a little Kermit the Frog collar and I sat in front of a green screen. We put a tree behind me. You saw it? You just saw it?
I didn't see that one.
Oh, that's on the channel.
Did you sing it? Did you sing it in a Kermit voice?
I sang it in my own voice, but I'm doing this somewhere. I just totally did a Kermit impression. Awesome. Yes. And then I had little bubbles that popped up. I'm sitting in a forest, and it's hysterical. So yeah, I did
I missed that one.
Yeah, it's on.
I was doing my research, man. I was doing my research for the interview, and I missed that one. Shoot.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
10 years old right now, but
wow, man,
crazy.
Still holds up. Where's the best place for people to find works like that for you? Is there a specific YouTube channel, or should they go to your website?
Okay, no, I have a website I actually have a YouTube channel, and it's not a channel that I actually populate with much because I did this documentary about $2 bills, which again we can talk about or not talk about. But then I built a channel called the $2 Bill Documentary where I put the trailer up and I put some unused footage, and then I started creating extra material that I couldn't use in the film. I ended up having like 60 videos on that channel. I've got 23,000 subscribers, and it's monetized. It generates a few bucks a month, and I got a pretty big following there. So that is like my main YouTube channel. I had another channel for my business where I videotape corporate events and sports. I would put all that on that channel. So I have 2 channels, and I said, I need to put, like, if I make something funny, I need a place to put it. So I have my own channel with just my name, but it hasn't been one that I've really pushed and populated with a lot of content. It used to be just where I put videos of my son up so that my family could watch. And then I put a couple of small videos that I did. Like I did one in college where I was I played a car salesman named Suicide Charlie, and one of those crazy car salesmen, like Crazy Eddie in New York. And he was like, if you don't buy a car for me, I'm going to kill myself. I got a gun to my head right now. If you don't get down here and buy a car, I'm going to blow my brains out. And so I said, I need to place this stuff. In the old days,
offensive.
It lived on
That's
VHS.
offensive, John.
Yeah.
It's offensive.
Right. But in the old days, it lived on VHS. So once I converted it to, digital, I was like, I need a place to put it. So I started putting stuff like that on my, so my own personal YouTube channel ended up being a place where I just put some old stuff. Yeah, I did a couple of new pieces. I put those parodies from 10 years ago up. And then I know we're going to talk about the Prince Andrew interview. I put it up there. So yeah, I'd love everybody to follow the channel and subscribe. However, it's not like I'm putting videos up regularly. I put something up here and there. But if you wanted to find me on YouTube, I believe it's just John Bennardo, my name, youtube.com/John Bennardo. But yeah, it's not a channel that I would love to be able to put stuff up regularly. I wish I had the kind of free time that allowed me to just go do something goofy every week and throw it up on YouTube. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately, but it is a channel I would like to do more with. So somewhere down the road, I will.
Oh man, well,
you can see some of this goofy stuff there. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, the videos that you make. Hey, first of all, you've got the video making skills. You made a whole documentary, but when you put it together, even some of these shorter videos, it's really good.
Yeah.
And we should talk about the Prince Andrew.
Absolutely.
Video. Yeah. So you interviewed
Prince Andrew.
Yeah. A fascinating conversation.
The royal, formerly known as Prince.
The
royal. So you can't call. That's even in the interview. Can I even call you Prince Andrew anymore? And he goes, no.
Yeah. You go through like all of his titles. He's like, no. Mm-mm. And then you're like, so it's just Andy. Yeah.
Right. The background on that is,
so good.
See, that's something I wish if I just could spend every day doing whatever I want, I would just pull famous interviews and just do those all the time. There was a show on HBO. Maybe you guys are old enough to remember, called Not Necessarily the News.
Yeah, I remember.
You ever heard of it?
Yeah.
The old days.
Yeah.
And some famous comedians actually started there. Anyway, so that was a show. They did a lot of that. They did short little bits with fake interviews, and that stuck with me. I love that kind of comedy because, like I mentioned before about Weird Al, I love having to take an existing something and play with it and change it to make it funny. When Weird Al does song parodies, he has to stick to a certain rhythm and he has to stick to a certain lyrical pattern. And so can you add new words to make it work? I love that challenge. So when you have an existing interview and you have only so many words that Prince Andrew said in that interview that he did with the BBC, can I rearrange those sentences and add my own to make it funny? I love that sort of a challenge. And I personally find that very funny. So got a transcription of the interview. The good news is he had a lot of no's, no. I've seen the photograph, of him with the girl, and I changed it to him with Spider-Man, that sort of thing. And you say, can I come up with a story? And I find the writing challenge of that to be the best part. And then once it was written and made me laugh, now I have to record it. And then I put myself in front of a green screen and then try to do a background that looked like I was in the same room as he was.
That was a green screen.
And then I had to, when I edited it together, there's a lot of shots of the interviewer with him, the two people in a shot. Sometimes it's a close-up of him, sometimes it's a close-up of her. Sometimes he's talking while you're looking at her. So if I want to use that audio, I have to insert myself. So there's a lot of editing. It's a lot of work. It took a lot of time to make what ended up being whatever it was, an 8-minute video. But I love the way it came out. And again, your listeners can go check it out.
The link is in the description of this video.
Oh, good.
The link is in this description of this video. Yep.
Okay,
the Prince Andrew interview. And I'm surprised that was a green screen that you were in front of, too. I thought that you probably just tried to find a room that maybe matched his background a little bit, and you just kind of did it there.
No, I had to do that later. Wow. I found stock footage of I tried to do stock footage of royal backgrounds, and then I had to recolor it. So, it took a while. Actually, just thinking out loud, there was a picture on the wall. I actually got another stock photo of a gold frame and put that up on the wall behind me. So there was a lot I had to do to make it look real, but if it doesn't look real, it's not believable. So that was another part of this is all stuff I'm doing, like, when I should be doing something else constructive. I should be
and it takes so much time. It takes a lot of work.
But, books, the book takes a lot of time to document it. But if I really set my mind to doing it, I do it. And that was something I really wanted to do. So now I just need I need to get inspired for another one. I need to find the right interview. And if I did it again, I would want something more timely because I should have. I didn't know at the time I was going to do it. But when the Andrew interview first came out, within like weeks, other people had done their own versions. So what I was doing wasn't really original. It was just my take on it. And it was, 6 months late. So now if I was on my game, as soon as a new interview comes out, this big Dateline interview with somebody, I should take it and just run with it and have it done in a week, put it up, and I'll get more views because it'll be more topical.
I got an idea for you. Why don't you maybe impersonate an attorney, do courtroom background, and do the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial?
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
I'm saying, you could do it,
Cross-examine
man.
them.
Yeah.
Cross-examine them.
Or you
Right,
could
interesting.
or you could go really meta with it, John, and do the same thing but for Weird Al and Weird Al interviews. Because there aren't a lot of Weird Al interviews.
It's true.
But if you like wanted to go cerebral and layer up the satire and the weirdness of it, you could like do the same thing.
Yep.
You could do to Weird Al what Weird Al does to everybody, which is
It would
kind of
be-
how
I
you
tell
know,
you-
like that's
It
like
would
how
be
you
a great
know it.
channel. A great channel on YouTube is just all
It'd be
existing
awesome.
material repurposed into a fake interview. If that would be like, if that
That'd be
were my
huge.
thing, I could probably build an audience if I was doing it regularly.
You really could, because honestly, one of my favorite YouTube channels is called Aural Knots.
Oh, yeah, Aural
and
Knots. They're great.
They're super talented. They kind of do the same thing that you do, except they do them with
More like bad lip reading.
it's like bad lip reading,
Yeah.
except for the Star Wars movies, and they recontextualize all of the characters and everything to where like the Jedi are just a bunch of smackheads, like Darth Vader is just like a corporate manager, like he's just living in the Empire is just a corporate. So, but it's all the same thing. It's like exactly what you're doing. And
Jay
they're
Reese.
And
huge
we've got
fans.
Jay Reese Bradley saying Putin. Hello, Jay Reese. How are you?
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
But the question is, would that be in
great?
English? He doesn't speak in English, but I guess what's good about that is you could just put subtitles, say whatever
You could do whatever you want.
You could be like the
Right, just put
interpreter
subtitles.
voice.
All right, Jay Reese, I'm gonna call you. And you can help me write it.
That's awesome.
Yep. That's awesome.
Cool.
Very good suggestion. Well, we're gonna take a break.
Yeah.
We're gonna do our 3 minute and 57-second break so I can change the camera battery, as lame as that is. But it gives you guys time to get a refresh, beverage, bathroom, smoke, whatever you need to do. And we'll be back with John Bernardo in just 3 minutes and 57 seconds, folks. Here we go.
That's right.
We'll be back in 357. Who are we? Well, we're the Goslings live streaming podcast, that's who. We are a dark-lit digital speakeasy of free thinkers, deep divers, and professional artists, all waging a rebellion against the beast system and its hoary minions of internet censorship. And what does that mean? Well, during the Prohibition era of the 1920s, alcohol was outlawed in America. Illegal industries arose to meet the demands of people who, through no fault of their own, were being coerced by their government to conform to tyrannical cultural expectations. Speakeasies arose throughout the country, secret underground hangouts where people could gather in solidarity and enjoy the freedoms that they once had but were told are now punishable by arbitrary fiat. In the draconian hellscape that is today's cyberspace world, truthful content is considered contraband, prohibited by our nanny state technomasters, our faceless, finger-wagging, benevolent overlords who decided for us, oh thank goodness, what speech is to be protected versus what naughty topics are verboten. And the complex pseudo-legal codex which defines this punitive overwatch is known as none other than the dreaded community guidelines. But here at the Goslings, we don't cotton to that nonsense. No, sir. As your insufferably self-absorbed, disarmingly self-deprecating, and mostly harmless hosts, we have meticulously scoured YouTube's unholy technocratic scriptures of community guidelines that would let us wiggle free of this dastardly mortal coil ensnaring what remains of liberty and logos. And what did we find? Well, not a darn thing. So, we've taken it upon ourselves to provide an alternative solution that's sure to scratch your freedom-loving itch. And what do most of you, our faithful viewers and listeners, want to talk about? Well, we can't tell you because on this platform, that's simply not allowed. That's exactly why you should head on over to patreon.com/the Goslings and become an exclusive member right now. Do it now. After all, where else are you going to get the kind of truth bombs and wild theories from some of our most fascinating guests and other like-minded individuals
in this age of decentralized propaganda and depressing isolation. We want to violate all of YouTube's community guidelines, and violate them hard. With you, dear audience member, just not here on YouTube. We want to do it away from the insidious monitor bots scouring every spoken word and the unregulated doublespeak of YouTube's serpentine hive mind of woke AI. So for only $5 a month, you can become an honorary member of the Goslings. You'll get access to exclusive content and interviews where we talk about all the naughty topics, baby, and say every no-no word that the algorithm wouldn't let you so much as think about on our standard YouTube live stream. And if this wasn't bad boy enough for you, you'll get a 15% discount on all of our merchandise, free digital downloads of selections from our writing material, and, check this out, access to our monthly Discord chat, which we like to call the Goslings After Party. Because what good is a victory if you can't celebrate it afterwards? So head on over to patreon.com/the Goslings, or just click the link in the show notes and become an exclusive member today. I am relieved.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome.
We are with the awesome and extremely talented John Bennardo talking about Just a Typo. We're talking about his YouTube channel, talking about his awesome Prince Andrew video. John, I hope you maximize your time with the break real quick. I know we don't have a whole lot of time with you on the back end, but
I just sat here and waited for 4 minutes, sipped my
Okay,
water,
good.
check the Yankee score real quick. I'm fine.
Good deal. I have the bladder of a peanut.
Oh, it's always funny with some of the guests, like seeing how long I can get the guest to go on the back end as we get to like the 2-hour mark and just
Yeah.
watching Nick squirm over here.
He loves to
knowing,
make me
you
squirm.
know, yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Why do you do that? Why do you do that?
Hey,
I think 4 minutes is plenty of time to pee. However, if I walk out of here and I'll get distracted, my wife will ask me a question. Next thing I know, I'll be like sitting on the couch watching TV going, oh, wait a second. They've been back on for 25 minutes.
There's
So
a
I
thing.
better just stay here.
Whoops.
Just gonna stay right
Smart
here.
move. Yeah,
And then we'd be offended.
how,
we'd be offended.
how dare you? With their jowl.
Because I'm at the age where, you forget things like in a matter of seconds, right? You guys have been there, right? You put something down for a second and, then you walk out
All
the
the
door
time.
without it. So if I need to take something with me and I know I just literally hold it or somehow attach it to me. Because if I say to myself, if I put this down, I will forget to pick it back up. So I'll pee with it in my hand or something just so I don't put it down. And forget. Like holding lunch or something. I'm peeing so I don't forget to take
That's
my
a
lunch out
dangerous
the door.
gambit. That's a dangerous
Well,
gambit.
but I can't forget. It's more dangerous to forget it and leave it at home. So
It's
that's
true.
where we are. So I just decided to sit here for 4 minutes so that I make sure I come back.
That's smart.
Awesome.
Well, that's the mind of a creative. That's a creative mindset. That's all right. I want to hear about the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, what's your beef against Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn the chat on too while we do this.
I'm going to be totally. So there is I love humor writing, and I didn't realize there were all these online publications that accept submissions. And one of them is Medium, medium.com. And then under medium.com, there's like a subdivision of comedy called Slackjaw. So I saw this and I was like, oh, I have to. I mean, this is like great. I mean, I don't have to write a book. I can write an article and I can put it up there. And they are monetized, per views. But I was like, this is just great. I want to just crank these stories out. That's I'll get to the back end of that story in a minute. But so I'm like, all right, so what should I write about? You got to have something to write about. I need a topic that I can make fun of. And the first day that I was trying to think of an idea, I'm sitting in a Chick-fil-A line and realizing how fast it was going. So of course, it's the first thing on my mind. I go, God, they're so freaking fast. I have to the guys with the suspenders. Now I'm paying attention to all the details. The cars are backed up to the interstate. So I get all these ideas coming. So I came home and I sat down and I started hacking away. And I just made like an open letter, like, hey, please, the idea was that I'm away from my family. I need a break. and you guys are getting me through the line in like 3 minutes.
He's got no time to himself.
I want the traditional fast food experience. I want to sit in this line for 25 minutes. I want you to screw up my order. I want to pull off to the side while you fix it. And this way I have a half an hour to listen to my radio, make a call. I mean, that was the whole concept behind it. And so as soon as I caught on to that, it started coming together really quickly. And then you just start writing with, just explaining how I pulled up and you guys are so efficient and then just the whole thing. So I put it on. It was the first article I ever submitted to Slackjaw, and they accepted it. And it got published, and I was like, this is great. This is a piece of cake. So here's the back end of the story is that I wrote 4 or 5 articles since. None of them got accepted. And I thought they were hysterical. And I never want to say this to them because I don't want to complain. Who knows what their sensibilities are. But I wrote some other articles that I thought were damn funny, funnier than other stuff I've read on there. And they just, for whatever reason, didn't get accepted. Like, this piece isn't right for us, or we're not ready to publish this right now. So here I am on Medium as a published writer. I even added it to my Twitter profile, like published on Slackjaw. And I haven't put a second article up. I mean, I don't write them very frequently. I just write one when I get inspired. But so that article's great. And then a couple I wrote that apparently that they didn't think were great, but I just didn't make it. So it's a really good article about Chick-fil-A, but it's the only one that I've published on that page. And I haven't really written any other ones recently because I'm not really a short form writer, and they kind of not skewed me from doing it. But I'm just like, geez, if I'm going to write real funny stuff and they're not going to take it, like I thought it was easy. Like, oh, this Chick-fil-A article, they just took it right away. I'm great. And I haven't had an acceptance since. So
that surprises
me. Yeah, I was surprised too. That couple I wrote that were really good. I'm cursed now because I blaspheme the Lord's chicken, says Jay Reese. I'm going to just follow along with it.
Yeah, maybe. I know,
Jay
right?
Reese
That's great.
I'm on you, Jay Reese. I'm watching what you're saying over there. So, I don't know what happened, but it's a good article. Again, if you go to medium.com, which is a subscription service, but you do get 2 free articles a month. So you can type my name in and read that article about Chick-fil-A, but you won't be able to read any other ones because they have not published any of my other ones.
Which is stupid. Which is so stupid.
Right. So here you are saying, oh, the exceptional talented, and the guy's got 1 article he can get published out of 5. So I'm hitting 200. So, it is what it is.
What do you think the reason for that was? Do you think it's because Chick-fil-A is somewhat of a politicized, name brand, household name kind of? Do you think it was the subject matter or what?
Yeah, maybe because we were familiar with it. They're looking for interesting concepts. The whole idea about getting an article published is that you come up with like a concept that, like, when you read the headline, interests you right away, and you have to have like a theme that carries through, like a running gag. So in this case, the running gag was that they're so fast that it pisses me off, and you can hit on a number of different jokes about how fast they are, and you can keep the article going with different examples of speed. And I think some of the other articles I wrote were funny. I don't know if they had like that hook that I understand exactly what this article is. I'm sure I'm just guessing here. I mean, one of them was I actually have them on my desktop here. I have to move my screen over and look at them. One of them was a counselor at a camp saying his farewell to the kids, because he's just been fired, and he's like, this is my farewell speech to the kids. And he's just, so kids, I'm sorry I'm leaving you. I shouldn't have had that girl in my cabin. But he just starts going off on everything he did wrong. And they didn't, I don't know. Maybe it was offensive.
Maybe
probably
in keeping with the theme, what isn't these days,
Yeah. So I don't know what to read. Again, I write what I think is funny. And if somebody else doesn't think it's funny, it doesn't hurt. I mean, we all have our different sensibilities, and for whatever reason, they didn't think that was right for their audience. So be it. I'm not going to complain about. Disappointed, but that's the way it goes. So 1 out of 5 I got published, and I haven't really been writing them lately. So don't keep looking, but I'll text you guys if I get one on there.
You do a really good job of not being political when you put stuff out there.
Yeah,
and everything you do is hilarious.
Yeah,
you do a really good job of that. Everything seems like it's just run amok with trying to silence and cancel and censor and so forth. But I don't know. It's almost like this turning of the tide. Like, people are
sick of it.
Yeah, they're sick of it. Like,
we want to have fun.
Yeah. For example, I saw this. We do.
Like, loosen your booty hole and have fun.
Loosen your booty hole.
Take the stick
Lighten
out,
up. So there was this. What is this? What site is this? Do you recognize that site? What is that?
It's I don't know. It's one of the British. It looks like a
Yeah,
British
Daily UK or
tabloid.
something.
Yeah.
There's this article that says the new Yellowstone, Chris Pratt's new Navy thriller, The Terminalist, defies woke critics' scathing reviews to shoot up ratings chart with 1.6 billion minutes of stream. That was shared by Jack Carr.
Oh yeah,
He shared that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting, and it makes me wonder. And I've seen other things similar to this, like people are latching onto. Well, Top Gun Maverick's a great example.
Yeah.
Smash hit.
Universal praise.
It was like the one non-woke
movie
laden movie at the theater, and it was a smash.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like there's kind of a turning of the tide where like people are saying, I'm just going to spend my money on this stuff that's not getting into all that.
Yeah.
I don't care about being offended or anything. Have you noticed kind of a turning, so to speak?
I can't say I've noticed it, but I've always been one. I don't really care about. I mean, I care. I understand politics shapes my life. You know, the decisions that government make. I get all that.
Sure.
That my life is affected by what's going on around me in the world of politics and decisions and policies. But I don't really want to get into that stuff. I just want to have fun. I love to laugh. Yeah. I'll watch a comedy show. If you're making fun of the politicians, I'll laugh. I don't really want to go there. I don't really know. I never really paid attention so much that I can be humorous about it. So I just don't go there. I mean, there's really, and I don't want to say that I don't want to offend the left or the right, but I just don't have enough to say about it to be funny. I mean, I can mock it in my own way, but I haven't really found the forum to do that. Like I haven't, you know, mocking Prince Andrew just because he lied. It was such a bad interview. Like, you know, he never been with the girl. There's a photo of you with this girl. I mean, my goodness. He's like, I don't know what. I've never been. First, he says I've never been in the building, and then later on, he says, "Well, that's the second floor." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. You said you never been in the building, but yet you recognize it as this." So I mean, that was a blatant lie. I'm making fun of him. I'm not making fun of, you know, British rule or anything like that. I'm just making fun of somebody who got away with a lie and actually didn't get away with a lie. But so yeah, I guess I'm rambling, but to answer the question, I don't get into that stuff. It's not the type of thing that I like to find humor in. When I was a kid, I didn't really watch political comedy. I didn't get it if I did. So I don't go there. Yeah. No politics in this book. I never even thought like there was something I should do politically. So, I'll make fun of it. Just never happened.
That's awesome. And you probably, because you really to stay away from all that, you really don't get a lot of blowback. I mean, I don't think have you ever been like canceled or taken off deplatformed or anything like that? Ever getting kicked off Twitter?
No, not yet.
Let me know when you do. I'll send you a shirt.
I don't post Facebook politics. You know, I used to answer, like if someone had a comment about certain presidents I didn't care for, I would start writing like my retort, and then after I wrote, I would just delete it. Like I got it out of my system by writing it. I was like, don't put it up there because then you're going to get 100,000 people commenting back and arguing with you, and just forget it. So I just want to shut people up. I go, don't shut people up. Just walk away.
You know, that little voice in your head. That little voice in your head is not something that I listen to.
You don't,
and I should have.
You don't listen to that. I
should listen.
But you know,
I've learned from you.
The book is dangerous though, because there's the homophobic angle. They think he's a homophobe because of his tweet. So I had to think a little bit about some of the jokes and where I was going to go with it. And I don't remember anything in particular that I scaled back, but I'm sure there was something where I said, just don't go there. Like, don't bother doing that because it's just going to upset somebody. Even though the whole point of anybody who gets offended by my book is making my point. The whole point of the book is to show what happens when you do that. So if you're going to be offended by my book or cancel me because of the book, then you're exactly demonstrating that I've made my point. So yeah, it's just I don't even want to. I just don't go politics. And Jay Reese, my girl over there, says make humor non-political again. Correct. I'm all for it. So thumbs up again, Jay Reese. She's right on point with these comments.
She is. She's a smart cookie. She was actually our.
Is she a regular follower? Do you recognize her?
She is now. She's a big fan of Nick's books, the Travelers League series, and she's a self-published Amazon KDP author as well.
Does
And,
middle grade fiction.
Middle grade fiction, and she's become a really good friend of ours. We're gonna have her on the live stream as a guest at some point, and she's a smart cookie. She's pretty cool. She gets it. So
send me an email when she's on. Now I got to return the favor and I got to comment on.
Oh my gosh, we'd love to have you in the chat. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that Chick-fil-A article though? It'll strike a chord with the people who you would think would be offended the most. Like, we have a nephew who worked for Chick-fil-A, and he was like the poster child of Chick-fil-A. Always super friendly, very upbeat, very kind, very polite.
Yep.
You know, he was, and they send them through like a little Chick-fil-A boot camp whenever it's almost like a cult. It's like a brainwashing cult, but a good one, you know. And
that's why it attracts Mormon homeschoolers.
It really does. Yeah, it is. It is like it's a bug catcher for Mormon homeschool children.
I'm going to insist that my kids work there. I mean, that's going to be their first job.
But what's so funny is that like the Christian conservative community, which is very large in the southeastern United States, where we are and who we are, we would love that article. That article is like catnip to us because everything you're saying in that article is exactly what we think about something that we love and appreciate. You know, that's the beauty of that kind of humor, is that like you can poke fun at something, and for all the healthy minded people in the room who are not looking, just itching for something to, you know, cancel, like everybody looks at it as like, yeah, that's my thing, but it's really funny and it's true, you know. So it's funny how that works.
There's a lesson for me personally as a writer, having had that article published and none of the other 3 or 4, was that was one that I didn't force. I just observed and I formed an opinion and I wrote it. The other ones are like, okay, I need to write another one to get this on Medium. Like I need to come up with, and you come up with an idea, and it's almost like I'm fabricating. Whereas the Chick-fil-A was just natural. I went there, I observed, I felt something, and went home and I wrote it. And again, maybe I'm discovering this right now, but it's interesting to, you know, I got to get back to just observing, like we mentioned, observational comedy, like go somewhere and look at what's happening and make fun of it. And that's your article, instead of saying, gee, how about a one where, you know, camp counselor talks to the kids. That's just me making stuff up. So
I love it. It's very Seinfeldian, you know, and I mean, everybody has like their criticisms of Seinfeld, but he's one of the biggest comedians in the world for a very good reason. I mean, you know, as much as like we'll tease Seinfeld for, you know, what's the deal with peanuts, you know, on an airplane, like it doesn't matter whether it's like hacky or hokey or whatever. It's like, dude, everybody's had that experience if you've been on an airplane. So everybody's had that experience when they've been through Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
You know? And there's nothing wrong with that kind of observational humor. That's awesome.
Not everybody's looking to get away from their family and wants to sit there. Sometimes people, they want the speed, but I just decided to take it another direction. Like, here's somebody who's bitching about it as opposed to someone who's, that I guess was part of the appeal too, is that normally everybody's like thrilled that they can get through the Chick-fil-A line. And here's a piece that flips that on its head and goes, you know what, please slow the F down in the name of the title. Just let me... Just screw up my order, please.
I honestly, John, I think there are a lot of dads out there who think exactly like that. Where I think that's a common thing.
I have actually had that thought where I've come out of the Burger King line.
And
I've been like,
damn it, if they just took longer.
Angry that it took so long, and angry that they screwed up my order, which they do every single time without fail. There's always something. There's always something. A straw, a napkin.
The
pickles,
sauce.
You know, something.
And
I've had the thought, you know what? I just spent 20 minutes by myself. That was awesome. Why am I mad?
Why am I mad? They're doing me a favor, you know? And then there's friggin' Chick-fil-A over here who's Speedy Gonzalez, accurate on everything. I have no excuse to sit in my car for 20 minutes and just get my farts out, you know?
I know I probably did that when I was waiting. I didn't put that in the article, but that's a good one. I should remember that one. I'm being told that I have to go to Waffle House by Jay Reese. I've been to they don't have Waffle Houses here in South Florida, at least not that I know of. I know they're in some other states I've been to when I'm on vacation. So I've been to a couple, but it's not a regular thing for me. I mean, I don't know where you guys are. I forget, but do they have them
Nashville?
There?
Nashville. Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They're on.
Okay,
we have more Waffle Houses than we have churches. And we're the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah, we're just saying something. Yeah.
more than Starbucks too, right?
Yeah, more Waffle
Yeah,
Houses than Starbucks
honestly,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll take you. Oh my gosh, if we could take John Bernardo to a Waffle House,
dude,
imagine the
so great.
comedic fodder that you could get out of that.
The things you would observe.
I want to tell you a real quick story. I went to the Alex Jones premiere, private event with some friends, and then afterwards, there's like this new documentary that came out, and then afterwards, we went to the Waffle House, and there were like 15 of us, and it was a nightmare because like half the seats are closed down. There are only 2 waitresses who are working, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, and one of the waitresses turns to us after we've been standing around it and says, "Attention, everyone! We will not be making any food for the next half hour because we don't have a cook tonight. It's just me and my other girl, and my other girl has to go in the back and pump breast milk." And with, I'm not kidding. This is the kind of stuff that you can't. I'm a novelist. You're a novelist. Nick is a novelist. I don't think any of us. I mean, you might, John. You're pretty funny, but like, I don't think any of us could have come up with something like that. And
I might have had her do it in the restaurant. I might have just had her do it in
right?
the restaurant instead of saying,
just whip out the pumps right there.
Yeah.
Right. And without missing a beat, one of the dudes in our group from the movie like raises his hand and says, "Can I get chocolate?" Yeah. It's awesome. But like that kind of stuff happens all the time in a Waffle House or a Huddle House, which is the equivalent. Jay Reese, I think, used to maybe work there, so she kind of knows the ins and outs.
Worked at a lot of crazy places, but nothing was a freak show as much as that place. That's interesting. So you got more stories than I do, Jay. Maybe you should write it.
Yeah,
you have to collaborate. You all have to collaborate.
Yeah, you two put your heads.
I have
together.
the benefit of Florida man, right? All the crazy people.
All
in this
Florida
world
man.
all the crazy stories are all Florida. I have to start compiling those. And,
what's your favorite Florida man story? What's your favorite Florida?
I can't even think of one offhand because there's so many crazy ones. I do remember the YouTube video where the guy caught the alligator in his garbage can. Did you see that one? So YouTube went viral for a while. There's an alligator right in his driveway.
A big rolling
can and he's like. He's putting the trash can in, and once he gets the thing in it, he flips it up, and the alligator flips into the trash can, and he closes the lid.
Just a
that's
Tuesday.
what I remember.
Yeah.
That's
a good neighbor.
All of the best ones typically involve either severely debilitating drugs or alligators, sometimes both. The one that I remember, which
bicycle DUI.
Yeah, bicycle DUI. The one that I remember that is in keeping with the theme of your Chick-fil-A article and what we're talking about is the one where the guy got mad at the drive-through window because they didn't get his order right, so he threw an alligator in, like an adolescent alligator, into the drive-through window.
Was that recent? Was that recent?
Window.
It was probably in the past 2 or 3 years. I used to keep up with Florida.
I thought it was really recent. There was. Go ahead.
It probably happened more than once, John.
Okay.
It's probably like
that was
again,
me at the Chick-fil-A. Wait a second, that's what I did at the Chick-fil-A because they were so fast.
Right.
If I throw an alligator in, maybe they'll slow down.
I just let this thing loose, Yeah. I'll tell you, and I worked in Florida off and on over the past several years, and I believe every Florida man story I read.
And you're never surprised to see them.
No,
you're always
I'm not.
delighted
and
to read them.
I miss it so much. I want to move back there so badly. Like I miss the chaos.
Now I just thought I got to change the subject because while you're talking about how fast Chick-fil-A is, I just thought of another. You know who PDQ is? PDQ's up in Nashville.
No,
PDQ is a chicken fast food thing, and the first time I ever heard it, I thought PDQ was like from XYZ PDQ. You saw somebody's
pretty darn quick.
Pretty darn quick. So I'm figuring that's a perfect name for a fast food place, PDQ. It's not pretty darn quick, both in name and in service. They actually take a long time. So a couple times I was like sitting in line going, what the hell? PDQ? Like, what is this? This is taking forever. So I finally looked it up. It's not PDQ. It's people delivering quality or something like that. That's the name. That's the actual what PDQ stands for. Because they have quality food and it takes time to make quality food. So that's the excuse for taking a long time. I don't want you to just think of that. But PDQ, I guess they're fairly new down here, but it's people delivering quality. And I want to say to them, you guys understand that PDQ is pretty darn quick. And it was a great name for a fast food place, but you got to change that.
Yeah, they missed the mark, and they're gaslighting everybody by doing PDQ because everybody knows what PDQ means.
What the ultimate
First time I drove by one, I was like, "Wow, that's a good idea." PDQ, fast food place. Why didn't I think of that? And that's
first drastic business mistake.
Yeah,
chose the wrong name.
Man,
exactly.
Crazy.
But it's still fried chicken, so I mean, maybe we're willing to,
It's
maybe we're
fried, it's
willing to
grilled. They've got
compromise.
some salads. They've got some really fattening, like what's the one they have? Like a
Salad
buttermilk
grown to
chicken
order.
sandwich. They just dip it in butter and put it in a bun. I mean, it's
Keep
away
talking.
from that stuff
Yes.
now, but yeah. Anyway, come on down. I'll take you to PDQ.
You know what? We'll take you to Waffle House. You take us to PDQ. We'll,
There you go.
we'll have a good time.
Next time I'm going to be on again in a month or two, I'll have my PDQ right here, and I'll just be eating it while we're on. How's that?
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of that, when you come back, you're going to be. We're doing this again because this book is out right now. You can get an ebook and paperback. Just a typo.
By John Bennardo.
But you're also working on. Is it okay if I say it? You're also working
because I mentioned it earlier about the guy singing the songs.
Yeah. You're doing an audiobook version, right? You're having an audiobook produced of this book. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about the narrator?
Yeah, the narrator, his name is Kane. Kane, shoot, I forget his last name. I never refer to him by his last name, but he's on a popular, it was a New York syndicated radio show called Kane and Corey, the Kane and Corey show in New York. Cool. I think he was on 92.7. Okay. Now they turned it into a podcast, a subscription podcast, although I think they have one free show a week. And he's a guy that they showed up on one of my radio stations down here, and I was listening to him. And one, I drive to work, it takes me 10 minutes to go to work. And so I only hear the show for 10 minutes a day. And it just so happened when I was driving to work one day, they were talking about audiobooks. And Kane says, Kane Peterson is his name. He says, I would love to do an audiobook. And his buddy's like, yeah, you should. You have a great voice. And the light bulb went off for him. I was like, wow, wait a second. This guy he's got enough of a radio voice he could be a game show host, but he's also just klutzy enough, like he could come off as an idiot if he wanted to. Yeah. And so I texted him, like, I actually pulled my car over because I said, again, if I don't do this right now, I'm going to forget. If I don't text him right this minute, when I get to work in 5, I'm going to totally forget I heard this and I'm going to forget to text him. So I pulled the car over and I texted the show and said, hey, I just heard Kane talking about being an audiobook. I have one. And he reached out, said he was interested, and we got on the phone, and he's read most of the chapters. He had a little bout with COVID, which slowed him down. He's in the process of finishing it. I'm proofing what he's reading. And it sounds good. Awesome. I mean, he struggled the first chapter or two. He hadn't done an audiobook yet. So he was feeling his oats. He was overdoing it. And I had to coach him and say, look, I just said, just be him and just read it. And once he got in the knack of it, he went back and redid the first couple of chapters. And it's really good. So I'm excited to get this thing out there. It's taken a little longer than I want, but that's because of some circumstances. But he's doing a great job. He should finish it this month. And I know I mentioned you guys, I would rather wait to come on until it's out. So I appreciate you having me back on
Absolutely.
Now another time. But so next time I come on, it'll be out there and you can go listen to it. And I'm enjoying listening to his read because it's never going to sound the way I would have read it. And I was never going to be the one that read it. So it's like to hear a different take on it, to hear different inflections has been interesting. And it's made me laugh. So anyway, so that's what's happening. He's a radio guy. He's starting to get into audiobooks and it's coming out soon, hopefully by first week of September.
It's so cool.
Awesome.
It's so cool. Congratulations on that. When I wrote a young adult paranormal urban fantasy, and when I had it narrated, the guy's name is John Moe, and because I didn't know Adam yet. Adam wasn't in my, Adam, our narrator who does all of our books. I didn't know him yet. So there's this other guy named John Moe. Beautiful voice. He read it, and I heard this story in this guy's amazing voice. And I don't know if you had this thought, but it was like, I can't believe I wrote that. When I heard it, that is really good. Yeah.
Oh, I wrote that?
I am a good writer. Holy cow, I didn't even know it until someone else read it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is a good story. I mean, it's just something that an audiobook narrator adds.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you have any thoughts like that when you're just like,
no, but they say that I've written film scripts before. I was in my master's degree in screenwriting. And they say that if you really want to get a sense of how especially dialogue, if you want to get a sense of how your dialogue is, have someone read it or read it out loud.
Yep.
And so, maybe when nobody's home, I'll start reading my own dialogue out loud. If it sounds quirky, you miss something. So, to have your book read out loud, you get a sense of whether it's any good or not. And so far, I've been thrilled with his read because it just justifies in my mind that this is good.
Yeah.
You could tell he's enjoying reading it. It's very easy for him. He picks up on a lot of the cues, like how it should be read and how somebody should say something because he understands the flow of the scene, which means I must have done the scene somewhat correctly. So
Yeah.
it's good. It's just a nice experience, but it is interesting to hear your stuff read out loud because you're the only person that you guys know. When you write something, you're the only person that's with it for so long.
Mhm.
Nobody sees it unless you're sharing it with somebody getting comments, and then you're probably going to change it anyway. But you live with this material for so long, and you never have a chance to experience it in another form. So
Yeah.
That's so great. That's going to be my next audiobook that I listen to.
Yeah.
That's going to absorb
even
my
though you've
commute.
read the book, so you would listen to it. Even
Yeah.
though you've read the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a different experience.
It is. It's totally different. And not just as a writer, but as a reader or a listener and a fan. Yeah, you can never just suffice with hearing something in your own voice. You always want to give the audiobook a chance to. Yeah, absolutely. Because it can change how it changes how you experience it, and it can change how you appreciate the material as well.
I'll even take a break from listening to my own podcast.
Yeah, he'll take a break from listening to his own audiobooks.
That's right.
You know.
Well, the question is
You're
always,
welcome.
do you want to read your own? Did you guys think about reading your own?
I did. I actually tried to read the first couple chapters of my middle grade fantasy. I did the first couple chapters myself, and it sounded okay. But I was like, this is a ton of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to write books. I don't want to read them.
You know who does is Stephen Pressfield, our other author friend, one of our other author friends. He reads his own audiobooks, and they typically tell you don't narrate your own audiobook. You know,
he's a legend. He can do what he wants.
And he's one of those exceptions. Yeah, he's one of those exceptions where he can get away with doing that, and it works because of how it's kind of almost how niche it is. Like, it just, if you're plugged in, you're plugged in, and he understands it. And the temptation's always there as a writer, but I think it's a smart move for most people to reach out to a narrator. I know that for myself with the Heavenly Realms novels, having Adam Burrell narrate it with that Alan Rickman type voice that he has, you know, that
deep voice,
that
accent,
deep British, English accent, he was able to ironically add a bunch of other types of accents, Irish, Russian, you know, different accents to these characters that really ended up informing the writing on the back end. Because if you have a Scottish character, it sounds different. You're not going to use the same word choice depending on the accent, you know, because certain words don't sound the same with a certain accent. So that collaborative atmosphere, that collaborative environment, super important. So yeah, I can't wait for Just a Typo.
It's going to be great, man.
An audiobook. Is it
going
to be available on audio?
Actually, yeah, it'll be on everywhere.
Audible
iTunes,
and Amazon.
Audible, Amazon, yeah, all of them.
Yeah,
he had the first time he did a sample read. You know that I won't say it here because I don't want to get the joke away. But you know the main character's mother's name, right?
Yeah,
the mother.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and she found it on the wristband. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not going to say
in the hospital.
So the first time he read it, he did a sample read, and he actually pronounced it the way the word normally sounds, not the way I said it should
right.
be. So I'm listening to the sample going, wow, he's doing a pretty good job. And all of a sudden he says, I was like, no, that's not that. Then I think I got him on the phone and says, it's pronounced for her. Okay, so he got it. And it's like, that makes so much more sense. Right, exactly. And then there were a few names he had to go over, you know, anyway, but it's a good experience. But I couldn't believe he did that wrong. It was like, of all the words you didn't get that was right there in the book.
You didn't get the joke.
You didn't get it. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. No. It's a great collaborative experience that helps, you know, it helps the narrator cut his teeth. It helps the writer see his own writing through somebody else's eyes or voice in this context. And yeah, it's a smart move, man. Yeah. It's really cool.
Very cool.
So John, I know they're probably banging at your door, so I assume we probably got to let you go.
Well, I can't hear it, but maybe.
Okay. I mean, we could go on, but
I know I would love to, but I think I am running a little short on time. So
can I ask one last question? Actually, two,
go ahead.
And they're really easy. First one: who are your top favorite comedians or humor writers, and why? Top three.
Okay.
And then let's start with that one. Then I'll do my last one.
Okay.
Well, let's see. I was inspired by Jay Reese. She's saying goodbye. Thanks for participating. Judd Apatow was an influence on me because I didn't really know who he was at first. He worked for one of my favorite shows, Larry Sanders Show. Then he did the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I still didn't know who he was, but I've seen more of him now. I think there was a masterclass. I was on that masterclass website. And he talks about comedy, and he said something and I actually tweeted hoping he would see it when I first wrote the book and it published. I said, "Hey, I'm so thrilled to have my book out. Thanks to at Judd Apatow, for inspiring me." The way he inspired me was that there was an interview I read with him or saw, and he talked about how he didn't really become funny until he learned to just write what he thought was funny. Like, don't please other people. Just take from yourself and just write what you think is funny. And he says, as soon as I latched onto that and stopped caring who thought it was something funny, he goes, my career took off. And so I was like, wow, you know what? That's, and so this book is me just saying, you know what? F everybody else. I'd love for them to love it. We all have that sort of, I want to be liked mentality.
Sure.
But just make yourself laugh. And that's what I did. So whenever he does, he did it. I don't know if you've seen him, but he did the documentary on Gary Shandling on HBO. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that.
It's called The Zen Diaries of Gary. You got to watch it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Okay.
And then he just did one on George Carlin that came out a month or two ago, where he interviewed a whole bunch of comedians. And again, another one of my favorite comedians, George Carlin. And so, he's the one. I'm like envious. Like, damn, like he's in Hollywood. He can do what he wants. He goes and pitches a project. I'm going to do a documentary on George Carlin, and he goes and interviews all these comedians. I'm like, I want to do that. That's doing
the thing I wanted to do.
Like, and how he put it together, and told a heartfelt story with all the laughs in it as well. That was just terrific.
Yeah.
So I admire him, even though he doesn't always do things that, like, he's not a regular on TV or what have you. But I just I would like to have the career he has.
Yeah.
Right. Working on a bunch of great shows, knowing a bunch, having a bunch of comedians in his phone he can call. Coming up with an idea for something funny and just doing it. Like he had that movie on Netflix recently, The Bubble. I don't know if you saw it. I didn't think it was great.
Didn't see it.
Heard of it, yeah.
It was about making a movie during COVID. So he got the idea during COVID and came up with all these crazy scenarios of everybody living in a bubble and trying to make a movie, and they're at each other's throats. And he just, okay, I want to make a movie about that. And he goes to the studio and he gets the green light. He goes and he makes it, and they give him $30 million to make it. And he goes off, and that's like the dream, right?
Yeah.
So that's the long answer. Other comedians, as a writer, I started reading Frederick Bachman, who did A Man Called Ube, and then he did some book called Anxious People. He's real good. And actually, Judd Apatow has a couple of books out called Sick in the Head, in which over the course of his career, he's interviewed a number of comedians, some of them when he was like a 15-year-old, and he recorded them all and he transcribed them. It's just a book of interviews with comedians, what you think is funny. Cool. Yeah. BJ Novak, that used to be on The Office. He's a good writer. He's got a lot of short stories that I read. I don't really know if I have a favorite. I admire people who have the same ability to create humor with intellect behind it. Smart comedy, like interesting play on words, interesting concepts. That stuff always jazzes me. And that's, I guess, if the Chick-fil-A piece, if anybody read it and thought it was smart, that would make me feel just as happy as if they said it was funny, because it's one thing just be goofy. Like this book here, Just a Typo, has a lot of silliness in it. There's some smart silliness. There's some absolute dumb silliness. It's all funny, but it's generally, absurd. But I like being able to come up with those nuggets of where you go, wow, that was well done. Like I want it to be well done and funny. So anybody who can do that, that's where I go. So I don't necessarily know a zillion names, but I can read a piece or watch a comedian do a 5-minute bit, and if I think it hits those notes, then that's what jazzes me.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, mission accomplished on this book, because it is hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it is fun. It was fun to read, and it's going to be fun to listen to when it comes out. Hopefully in September. It's kind of the goal, right?
Should be,
in September, something like that. Okay.
I'm going to email the guy like after this interview and go, where the heck is it? Let's finish up. He's got 4 chapters left.
That's awesome. You're right on the cusp, man. Yeah, that's dude. It's a huge step. I'm super excited for it. Did you have?
I have only one last question.
Yeah, I know we got to let him go. So
I know we got to let him go, and I'm going way out on a limb here. But you've been awesome.
Yeah.
What is your favorite, if you don't mind? What's your favorite YouTube appropriate joke?
Jeez.
Wow, talk about being put on the spot, John.
You mean like as far as someone telling a joke or like a prank?
Yeah,
I will say this. well, I don't know if I have a joke, but I will say this. There's a channel was on vacation recently. We can talk about that another time. But the people we stayed with told me about a YouTube channel. Can we swear here, or can we not? Are we not allowed to
It's
swear?
okay.
Yeah, go
It's
for it.
okay.
Yeah.
It's called Shitty Flute. SHITTYFLUT.
Okay.
And the one you want to look at first is "Take on Me" by Aha. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So he showed it to me, and we were my wife and his wife and the four of us. And he puts it on his TV, and I started laughing like I was going to fall over. It's in the old, and this is the whole channel. It's just someone. It's not even a flute. You remember the old recorder you put up to your mouth?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
So it's just
Oh, yeah.
somebody. It's somebody playing that really, really badly, and. So awesome. Take on Me, of course, has this. The notes don't come in for like 30 seconds because it's the drums, and finally goes and then that's him playing the flute, the recorder, and it's awful. And when you hear it, is absolutely it just started, and he's got a channel with millions of views because all he does is play shitty flute to a bunch of.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how you can pour all this like intellect and witticisms and cleverness into like finally crafting something,
getting it perfect,
and then some dude comes along playing a shitty flute, or like it's a video of a sloth crossing the street, that
millions of views, 900,000 subscribers.
Yeah, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that? Right?
Yeah.
There are channels where they just put up like a beautiful background and relaxing music for like a 3-hour track.
Yeah.
ASMR.
Million views.
Yeah.
Millions, it kills me because, like I said, if I could just sit home and come up with funny stuff all day, I mean, that's what I would do. That would be my career. I just have to make enough money doing it. And some of the videos I make, as you saw, they're not overproduced, but just take a while to come up with an Andrew.
They're
I can't do one of those a day. I could certainly play a shitty flute every day and come up with a video a day.
You and me both.
That's what I need to figure out. Like, what's the funny thing I could just do that's so dumb and so easy that everybody would watch? I just have to like sit and work on that. Maybe I'll try to do that by the time
Patreon. If you start a Patreon for that, $1 a month, I will, or $5 a month. I'll pay $5 a month to get one video from John Bennardo. To just watch John Bennardo play a shitty flute song for 20 seconds.
I'm not gonna hold my phone up, but I actually have I have something in my notes, which is there's all my notes, but which is funny ideas, and the thing's full. But a lot of them would take a while to put together. I mean,
they do.
I don't want to give any ideas out because someone will take it and run with it and go make it, but.
Right.
I won't share that. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you. Keep in suspense. I want to again. I want to shoot it. It's just going to take. I have to cast it, and I have to. It's like I just need to come up with something that I can just do by myself here in the house. And there actually is a video like that on my channel that I did once. There's one where I have Siri reading famous movie quotes. That's on my channel. Again, there's like 8 videos on my channel besides the Prince Andrew one.
I saw that one.
But I just thought it was funny so I had like the one with Christopher Walken in Pulp Fiction going, I had this watch and your father wore this watch up his ass. So I recorded into Siri. I had Siri read it back, and it's my father wore this watch up his ass for 3 years. It's just, I find that funny. So I did 5 of them and put it on YouTube, and that's something I can do with minimal production. That's what I have to work on, is how to come up with, not spend 8 months writing a book and not spend 3 weeks doing an Andrew video, spend 3 hours and put it up there, and then I can do one a day or one a week or whatever. But that's for next time, I guess. But that's what I got to start working on.
It's a good return on investment. Smart move, John. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Otherwise, the next book's a year away, right? That's the next book's a year away, unless I got to come up with something that comes out a little faster.
Yeah,
so we'll get there.
Take a long time.
Yeah,
take a long time to get ready. Yeah, you got to promote them. The launch.
I started writing another book. I did start writing another one. The last thing I'll share is that I'm now not writing that. I'm writing a television pilot, because I was on, I don't think it was this podcast. I was on another podcast, and I told my story of being in Hollywood. I was a writer in Hollywood I was actually a paid writer in Hollywood. I went to grad school, and I wrote a script that almost sold. And long story short, the podcaster, when I told him the idea, he said, that would make a great Netflix series. And I went, oh, holy shit, it would make a great Netflix series. So now I'm trying to adapt my old screenplay into a pilot, which would have legs. And anyway, so
that's cool.
I'm like that. And I have ways to shop that around in contacts. I can get that too. So that's kind of what I'm writing now, is a pilot television script. It's hard. it's hard. Let's put it that way. I've rewritten it a number of times, but that's what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome.
Pressure's on. That answers my last question, which was, what are you running next? Now we know.
Now we
Netflix
know.
pilot. All right. John, when we bring you back, please give us an update on that as well, along with talking about the audiobook and anything else that you're working on. John Bennardo, author of Just a Typo, also the author of the $2 Bill documentary, for anybody who is not aware. Another really cool, interesting bit, but we love Just a Typo. It's awesome. And your comedy writing is extraordinary. So
it is.
Thank
John
you,
Bennardo,
appreciate it.
You bet,
dude,
man.
Always a pleasure.
It's been so fun talking to you again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sorry
I'm so
it's been
happy
so
to
long.
get the invite. No, it's actually so long. I would have expected a second invite, and usually that doesn't work out like that. So the fact that you called me back and said you want to come on again, I was like, wow, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime, guys, anytime.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool.
Don't tempt us. You know, we already got one thing lined up like that.
Obnoxious with the email.
Well, you know what? Maybe you need a third host. Let me know. It's a third host.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I would love. I actually probably will bug you about maybe doing something more regular here pretty soon, as your schedule will allow. So, John Bernardo,
I got a text from my wife. We are starving. My wife just texted me.
Okay,
please give her our apologies, man.
I'm going to
Thank
tell
you
her
for
to
your
eat.
time.
Just eat. Yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next month.
Sounds great, man.
Talk to you next month.
Talk to you later, John.
Take
Bye.
care. John Bernardo,
that guy's awesome.
Author of Just a Typo. Everybody should go check it out on Amazon. JohnBernardo.com is the website.
JohnBernardo.com, or he is on Instagram. I always put everyone's Instagram handle up there.
John Bernardo 222, and it's Bernardo with two N's. JBNNARDO 222 on Instagram.
That was fun.
Dude, it's been so long since we talked to him, and it's shame on us for not reaching out to him sooner. We should have done this probably like 3-4 months ago.
I know.
You know, I forgot how much fun John is to talk to.
Like with every guest, it's like I feel dumber after talking to them because I realize how smart I'm not. You know.
Well, John's what's cool
so
about
clever.
John. He's very clever. He's very humble. He knows how to have a good time. He's very smart. He doesn't take anything too seriously, and he's multifaceted. You know, I mean, the multimedia stuff, the writing, you know, and, you know, people look at like, oh, you're a writer. Okay, well, here's the thing. There are like 8 different categories of writing that you can invest your time and energy into, and they don't have a lot of overlap on the Venn diagram. So like comedy writing for a website is different than writing a script for Netflix, which is vastly different than writing a novel. Like John's a super talented guy, man. He's awesome.
Super.
We're happy to have him. So,
well, I got to say this. I got to take a break real quick because I neglected to do this at the beginning of the live stream.
Okay.
This is what we have to do. We have to do this.
I have to say this. We do have to do this because we got a lot of cool people.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not watching this live, I think Jay Reese has already followed. You're the best. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. I hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yeah.
If you're not watching this live, you need to take this digit, this phalange, this extension of your body.
Your booger hooker.
Yep. If you're on a phone or a tablet, and you need to subscribe and hit the bell. And if you're Gen X or a boomer or old school and you have a mouse in your hand, you need to click subscribe. I mean, just do it. Just do it right now.
Just do it.
There will be
Don't think about it. Just do it.
More interviews with amazing people. We want you guys to know when that happens, and hit the bell too. I think you should know that. There's a little bell by your subscribe button. You hit subscribe, you're not going to know when we live stream.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
Yeah.
You got to hit subscribe and the bell. So do both of those things right now.
Yep.
And I love you.
Yes.
And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Should we also talk about the Patreon?
Yes. Let's mention the Patreon.
Brand new.
Absolutely.
Patreon now. You should definitely become an honorary Gosling. Why? We're putting together exclusive content.
Yeah.
We do a monthly live Discord.
Yeah.
Which we're doing our first tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You get discounts off merchandise. You get free digital downloads of some of our work, of our books, free. It's $5 a month.
Yeah,
be an honorary Gosling.
Yeah,
and it's awesome. I think it's a great deal.
Discord chat. We'll be hanging out. We got a bunch of interesting things like worked up for the Patreon thing that we're going to grow over time. We had talked about maybe rekindling typewriter one-offs and reading those exclusively on Patreon. We've even talked about having exclusive channel access to like some sort of MST3K style videos.
Yeah, we got all kinds of things.
We got a bunch of different ideas. And for $5 a month, It's a lot of bang for the buck.
Yep.
If you either like us or you gain a lot of Schadenfreude from watching us flounder. It just depends on
That's
you
right, that's
and
right.
what you want and what you like.
Yep.
You know.
And we're gonna do that. What time are we doing that tonight? We're gonna do Discord tonight at what, 8?
Yeah, it's at 8:00. Yeah,
So
we're gonna take
8 Central.
We're gonna take a break. Yeah, 8 Central time. We'll hop on the Discord chat, and I know Jay Reese will be there.
Yep.
Jay Reese, author of Brumbletide and The Daughter of Eve, along with some other. Brumbletide's like a whole series of or middle grade fiction, right? I think there are a
Middle
few
grade
of them.
fantasy. Yep.
So yeah, Jay Reese Bradley. You want to check her out. John Bennardo was our guest today, and he is author of Just a Typo and the $2 Bill documentary. We love John. We're going to have him back after his audiobook is completed in probably probably about a month, something like that.
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah.
And Jerry says last week she got every ebook of the Travelers League series.
Oh, nice.
That's amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I hope you were able to download some of those for free on the Patreon site. I put all the ebooks on there. I hope you were able to download that, especially the one my daughter wrote, which is adorable, and it's a great story that she wrote. So good. But thank you so much for that. And yeah, man, I don't know if there's anything else we need to go over.
I don't think so. I still got I've got like tons of questions that I did not get to with John. So we're gonna have a lot of fun bringing John back. And when we do, we are probably gonna have John on for some exclusive Patreon only content that you will not see on the YouTube live stream. So that is one thing that we are working on, and I might see about getting John as a regular guest. It'd be pretty fun.
Yeah,
do like a once a quarter check.
Dude, that'd be awesome
kind of thing.
I bet he'd be open to it.
I think he would be. We have so much fun talking to him. So awesome. All right,
Doria
Morera.
Please forgive me if I jacked up your last name, but Doria, thank you. It's good to hear from you again. And and
God bless you too.
Yeah, we've been going for an hour and a half now. And it was a great interview. I hope you're able to go back and watch.
Yeah, go back and watch what our
John
conversation
Bernardo was amazing.
Yeah, John's killer. So, all right, everybody. Well, we are pushing an hour and a half, so we're gonna bounce. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. All those things help deepen the digital footprint on the algorithm. The Patreon is there in the description below, along with Nick's middle grade fiction series, The Travelers League. Probably just your Amazon page in general, I assume, right? Yeah. And then
no, on the Patreon there are links to my BookFunnel account where people can download it for free.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then my books are on Amazon. They're probably in the description below as well, if you guys are interested in any of those. And we will be back, let's see, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I think it's 3 weeks. Let me check real quick.
I believe so.
I think we got like a little bit of a break here. Let me double check my schedule. We are going to be back on August 24th with none other than Jay Reese
Bradley on the 24th.
Yeah. So
that is in what?
Or is it 24th?
2 weeks. That's 2 weeks.
It's the 21st.
Oh, it's
21st.
Okay.
Yeah. So next Sunday, August 14th, we will be off, and then we'll be back on the 21st with Jay Reese Bradley.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Stay tuned.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's it. We will tonight on the live Discord. We'll put the link in Patreon. So if you're a patron of the show, you'll get an email with that link. We're going to do that at 8 Central tonight.
Yep.
We will see you there.
All right.
And you guys have a good one.
Yep. I'm Jonathan.
I am Nick.
And we are the Goslings.
We'll see you later.
Adios, amigos.